Oh, this is a lot of fun. I've known this friend for many years, and I'm going to ask her to tell us who she is and to tell us what she does and how we connected. Robin,
Yeah.
take it away.
Thank you so much, Carole. And I have been a member of the National Speakers Association, I'm thinking like 26 years. And Carole and I just happened to meet at conference. Back then, it was just called the NSA conference. It wasn't called Influence. And we met in a session. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Carole, it was in Sam Horn's session.
I think
And
so.
she was talking about how do we create our story. And because it just happened to be my birthday that day, she said, "Who's having a birthday coming up?" And she brought me up to the front of the room. And the topic that I did a lot was making work fun. And so when I came back and sat down after she ran through this brainstorming session, Carole leaned over to me and said, "Hey, I've got some ideas. Do you want to talk?" And so we went into a room and we started talking and said, "Hey, we think we can share some ideas with each other. So let's just talk next week." And so then it just became an accountability partner. And Carole, I think you were writing your book at that
That's
time,
right.
weren't you?
Yeah, that was 2000, 2001, around that time period. So like 20, 21 years ago. Yeah.
It was.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I really believe that over the years, I can attribute my success to the relationships that I have with people who supported me and
Mm-hmm.
held me up through good and bad times. And Carole, our relationship was one of those because we did. I mean, I'm not even sure how many years. I want to say it was 5 years, maybe.
At least because I published my book around 2003 or so as a result of our relationship, and you held me accountable. So my first book that at that time came out around that time period, and we met every week, and no, every month. We met once a month, talking about our various business projects and goals and aspirations. So that went on for a number of years.
It did. And so, lots of ups and downs over those years because I think we met before 9/11,
Yes.
and we know how business totally changed. And
Right.
I really think having you as an accountability partner made just such a huge difference for me. It really helped me set realistic goals because, Carole, one of the things that you probably remember about me is I like to set long term goals and
Oh,
try to achieve them in the short term. And so, Carole, what you were so good at was saying, "Okay, Robin, now let's just think about that. Can we break it down into pieces?" But the other thing that you really did for me was that you would push me out of my comfort zone. Right. So, I would say, "Okay, well, this is what I've been doing." And you do that to me now, too, or with me or for me. Right. So you don't
yeah.
push me into things that I wouldn't do or shouldn't do, but you
Yeah.
just say, what if you tried it this way, or what if you did this instead? And there are things that I wouldn't even think about.
Well, I think the same thing for you too, because of your innovation. And the wonderful thing about having an NSA accountability partner is that you have a whole group of friends and relationships that are different than mine. And so when we come together, we're able to compare and have conversations based on that. And then some of the innovations that you've learned, you shared them with me and vice versa. So that's been a really, really helpful point. You came to my daughter's wedding. That was back in 2006, you and Tim, your husband. So again, that's how far back we go. And then we took a hiatus. We went in different directions, stayed in the organization, had other pursuits. You, Robin, went and did a stint working for various educational organizations. And, now you're back working by yourself, working for yourself. And here we are again. We're accountability partners 20 years later. How cool is that?
It is. And Carole, the interesting thing was, I mean, we would still talk
Yeah.
and on the phone. I mean, we would still meet at
Mhm.
NSA conferences and workshops. And so it was just that it was one of those things that everything has a time and a place. And
Right.
so during that time, we were still moving forward and still being successful. But then when we came back together again, we're like, yeah, we need this right now. This
True.
isn't a time in our life that we need to be accountable. Because, I mean, somebody that knows you well, that will be honest with you. Because, I mean, think about if we have a boss, I mean, you know, our raise, our each time we get evaluated, it's based on that. And we don't want to tell our boss some of those things.
Exactly.
If we work for ourselves, we certainly don't want our clients evaluating us and telling us our weaknesses, right? And so by having an accountability partner, you have somebody who'll be honest with you,
True,
who can tell you the truth and not be worried about it. I mean, think about even personally with your family. It doesn't go well when your spouse or your kids.
Yeah, especially if they're not in the business and they don't really understand what it's all about. But yeah, the great thing as we wrap up, because we could talk about this forever. The great thing is, I can talk to Robin and share things with Robin that I can't share with other people, and she'll understand. I mean, she's in the business, she knows what it's like. And yeah, we can pull our hair out together and then say, okay, now we're going to go to step 2 or step 3 and move forward. That to me is the value of this kind of relationship from a friendship and a business perspective. Robin Thompson, you're my buddy. Thank you so much from Vail, Colorado.
Thanks.
Take care.
Okay.
All right.